Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us. If you're a subscriber to the Harrison Daily Times, you'll notice that in the past, I think it was last week, there was two or three, I guess, three different stories about Anna Marie Sullivan and your adventure, your rediscovery.
Yes, it's been quite an adventure, that's for sure.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to call it.
And for people that maybe didn't read the story in there, could you just kind of tell us, go back and kind of tell us how you just, I think you probably need to talk to your mother about this, because she's the one that started all this, right? You were going to sell a car, as I understand, and you went to get the title, and lo and behold, you looked in the safety deposit box, and what did you find?
And I found a birth certificate, her original birth certificate, that had her birth mother's name on it. And
Is that unusual?
Well, the adoption was kind of closed, but it was open on our side, and it was, once I decided to initiate it, we could find her. And
so that was at the insistence of the birth mother to leave it open like that?
She wanted to be able to,
at some point
for her to
later,
be able to find her eventually, if we so chose. And I knew I had her name in there, but when we first got Anna Marie, I was kind of nervous to think, you know, how all the stories you hear, how the birth mother comes and steals the child and all that. And I was
you didn't
always
want to think of that.
And so I just put it in the safe deposit box and didn't think about it for 24 years.
You blocked that out of your mind?
I just blocked it out. And the title to the car was at the very bottom of the safe deposit box, and that's where all her adoption papers were. And something just told me to open them up and look at them. And when I opened it, it was the birth certificate right on top.
Yeah.
And so I made a copy, and I just ran right up to the chamber. And
now, that seems odd to me that would be that exciting to you. Had it been
does
blocked?
sound odd, doesn't it?
Had that been blocked out of your mind for that entire time?
I just never really thought about it. And when Anna Marie was 21, my husband and I were going to try to find her birth mother for her. She had asked about it for years, and off and on, but not really insisted on it. And so I thought
Anna Marie knew from day one that she was adopted.
Correct.
Right.
And that was one thing. Some of my friends had been adopted, and they hadn't found out they were adopted until they were teenagers.
Yeah.
And so I thought that from the get-go, she was going to know she was adopted. And so I always told her a story, and it was her bedtime story. And as she was growing up, she'd say, "Mom, tell me my story again. Tell me how I was in another lady's belly." And say, okay. So I tell the story again, and it was just something we just always did.
Yeah.
And she just knew it was a neat thing. And so I would encourage other people that adopt to make sure and tell them all along, and then they're not surprised about it when they are older. And when she was 16, that's the age they get real rebellious and everything. And
Anna Marie rebellious?
at that age, she was getting wanted to know more, and I was really afraid to tell her then. And I gave her a letter her birth mother gave her, and in that letter said that she gave her two things, and one was life, and the other was a family that would love her. And she did, and it had her name cut out of it, so you couldn't tell what the name was. And so that was enough to help her at that point in her life. So then when she turned 21, my husband and I were going to do that. But in May, the year she turned 21, my husband passed away real suddenly, and I just couldn't deal with it right then.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think any more about it. And so when I saw that, I was like, this would be really neat. I need to take this to Anna Marie. We could find this out together. So I called her up and I said, I have a late birthday present for you. And she couldn't figure out what it was. And I said, I have your original birth certificate. And she looks at me real puzzled like, well, what do you want to do with that? And I go, we could find your birth mother with the internet. We could find your birth mother if you want to. And we cried and hugged, and then she tells the other part of the story well, so I'll let her go from there. We got on the internet and go.
It didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't. That was all happened on a Friday, the last week of June. And so she had given me the birth certificate, and I was so excited. So I thought, you know, this is all I needed. This is the key I needed to be able to find her, was the name. I mean, with the full name and the way internet is nowadays,
Yeah.
you can find anything.
Yeah.